welcome. We have in yet another edition of Expressions, the Honorable Minister for Youth Affairs and Sports and Minority Affairs, Mr. Kiran Rijiju, and Mr. Prabhu Chawla, Editorial Director, who's known him for quite a few years now. Mr. Rijiju, thank you so much for joining us. And on a good day, I believe Cricket Australia has decided to play the series in October against India. So I think that's some good news for fans of the sport. How soon can we expect to see live sporting events, sir?
See, as of now, because of the situation, our priority is the health and safety of the players and the citizens overall. But as and when the things become normal, we would like to see sporting events back on the ground as soon as possible. So right now, we have already stated that sporting events can be conducted in a situation where they will be having no spectators in the stadium.
Yeah.
So to begin with, we have permitted the activities at the sports complex and the stadium.
So Kiran, I want to ask one question because within the next 48 hours, you will be completing 1 year in your office as a sports minister. I must congratulate you once in 48 hours in advance. Looking back, are you satisfied with your performance you have done, and what have you accomplished which you wanted to do?
See, in last 1 year, the achievement which India has made in the field of sports is quite remarkable. In all the international competitions, India has done better than before. Whether it's a World Boxing Championship or Wrestling Championship or badminton, in many other fields, hockey, we qualified both men and women for Olympics. So the level of India's sporting standard has risen quite well in last 1 year, but this is just a preparatory. I personally feel that all the good works, all the planning which my ministry has done along with the sports federations, the result will come in a couple of years' time. But our long-term goal of putting India in the top 10 in the Olympics, that will be realized because we have taken those corrective steps and necessary policies and programs now, which will bear fruits and take shape in next few years' time.
You have 1 extra year to prepare for the Olympics. Do you expect to do better this time?
See, Olympic, it's very difficult to say in terms of how much medals one could win, because at Olympics, it is the highest level of the competition, so anything can happen. But in terms of preparation, yes, I can say that we are best prepared than before.
Yeah.
In fact, we were very ready for the 2020 Olympics, but since it is postponed by 1 year, I'll try to take maximum advantage out of this postponement and try to enhance the level of our preparation. And I know it's very difficult to keep athletes in same mental state of mind for 1 year, because preparation at that level is not only physical, it's mental also. So a player to remain fit for another 1 year, it's not easy. So we are taking into various account what to do.
Kiran, you rightly put it because mental state is also there. But the question is, Indian Olympic Association, like any other body, they're also fighting with each other. I've just read a news report. The president has removed the secretary, he has removed the ombudsman. They're fighting for saying their own seats and their own stuff. And that will influence the players also when they're fighting at the top level. How it will influence the lower level, I hope you are noticing it.
See, first of all, Prabhuji, we have to understand one thing, that sports federations are being run by people who are there democratically, because there are elections, whether it's Indian Olympic Association or different sports federations. These are elected bodies. So when there is election, there is bound to be groupism. There are bound to be cases of differences amongst various groups, because some group of states will favor one faction and another will favor another faction, will have another group. So these are part of the democratic process. But having said that, My advice to Indian Olympic Association and the Sports Federation is, whatever differences you may have, but don't let it have negative impact or effect on the sports and the sports persons. We are here for the sports. We are here for the promotion of games. We are here for the interest of the sports person. So our individual interests should not override the interest of the sports itself. So
but are you happy with the sport federation? We have to Indian Olympics, because 1 year away from now you are going to the Olympics and there is a top level fight going on. Even simply in hockey also, international hockey is represented by one faction and domestic hockey is represented by another faction. Somebody controls the domestic hockey, there is no connection between the two. So how?
Prabhu Chawlaji, you have put a very pertinent question at this point of time. See, these different Olympic associations and federations have been working under different circumstances for a long time. When I came and took over as a sports minister, I sent a message across the sporting fraternity that I don't belong to any group, I belong to the sports. I am not here to run the federation. I'm not here to take care of the daily affairs of the federation. The sports federation should run the sports affairs. Government is here to give you support, to work with you. And at the end of the day, we are a team. I am the leader of the team because I am the minister for sports. So I am the leader. But I'm not alone. We are a team. So that is what I have sent across the message. And message has gone loud and clear. Everybody understands today that the sports minister means business. So I will not allow any kind of differences amongst various factions to affect the sports and our preparation for the Olympics and other world championships. My message is very clear. But presently, I have no problem with any of the bodies, whether it's Indian Olympic Association or it is the sports federations of different disciplines. But my only point is the differences amongst themselves. Many of them have gone to court. So their differences should not have effect on the athletes and the sports negatively.
But Kiran, your sports code, which you have, many ministers have tried in the past from Uma Bharti to you, that has not been fully implemented yet. Are you sure when you will be able to implement that?
No, that is what I'm telling you, that I was very eager to have the new sports code. But again, some people have gone to the court. They have stalled it. I had constituted a committee headed by a former Supreme Court retired judge. But some of people have gone to the court. I don't know. Those who don't want to have any reform in the sports sector in India, they always do nothing good thing, but they always, create trouble for others.
Kiran, I want to, because you always give a very frank answer without fear. Can we ask one question? It is because the top political leaders, maybe seniors to you, and top IAS officer, retired IAS officers, they still control many of the sports organizations. It is because of them they can manage everything the way they want to manage. They want to retain their control over the sports organization. Therefore, none of the ministers, 8 ministers I have seen, sports ministers, who tried to impose the code of sports, but they were replaced, but politicians are still there.
No, it's not a question of politicians or bureaucrats or businessmen. See, Prabhu Chawlaji, you must accept this reality that running of sports federation and playing the sports itself is different. For example, I want to give you one example. In my state, there were some sports federation run by some people, maybe former athletes or maybe some other people. But what is the point? They cannot even finance the journey expenses of the sports person to participate in various events. So the federation's duty is to ensure that they give full support to the sports person. You should be able to manage it. Suppose if I'm a very good player, I may not be a good manager. So managing the sports federation is not easy. You have to generate fund. You have to manage many things. You have to think about promotion of the sports and reach out to the people. So it is not good in democracy to single out and say that this should be barred, that group should be barred. My only concern is how to work in the interest of the promotion of the sports. So let us not take the debate to another different level, but we will focus on the promotion of the sports. With regards to some people illegitimately occupying some of the federation, that in my knowledge, so far, there are people who are running the federations. There are many good people who have sacrificed even their own family resources to run a particular federation. But there may be some black sheep, but I cannot generalize. There are good people, there are bad people, but we should not just categorize people into something which is not proper. We cannot generalize everything.
Kiran, I want to ask very short question. Do you agree that India needs some kind of a reform in sports management administration?
See, at the government level, we will do whatever.
No, I'm talking about not the government level. Government, you are the reformed person there already. I'm talking about federation level.
See, if I firmly believe, let me be very honest with you, as and when this court suspension of our committee is lifted, court has already stated the committee which I have formed. I have already told you why some people have misled the court. I don't want to get into that now.
Yeah, that's the duty.
Once that court stay order is lifted, we will come out with a much broad-based necessary changes in the sports code. The most important thing which I'm looking forward is transparency and good governance in the sports federation.
Which is missing at the moment.
Anybody who runs sports federation must ensure that good governance and transparency along with accountability. Accountability will come, but we have to ensure that good governance and as well as transparency is there. No, there should be no opaque, there should be no hidden agenda. Everything must be crystal clear. So for that, I need to have a committee. I cannot just today recommend that these are the changes for the National Sports Code. I need it a proper committee.
No, I didn't ask that question specific, Kiran. I didn't ask for a specific suggestion. I said, if you also feel there is a need for reforms in sports management and administration. As you rightly put it, transparency, accountability has to be there. At the moment, that is not up to the mark as it should be. It is not there.
No, I'm very clear about that. There are absolutely necessary things which I see that some reforms have to be carried out. India is a large country. We need to promote sports. We must create sports culture in India. For that, transparency has to be there. Otherwise, it's question of the life and question of the career of sports persons and India's prestige. It's a national stake. So that is why I think we need lots of private sector also to come into the promotion of the sports. Once we create lots of positivity into the field of sports, I think things will change. But right now, as things stand as of today, many of the federations have improved a lot, but there are many changes which are required to be carried forward. And I'm hoping that in the days to come, we will be able to do that.
Mr. Rijidu, if I were to ask you, which sports do you think India will get a gold in the next Olympics? As a betting man, what would you bet on?
We have prioritized 14 sports discipline as priority where India will have larger prospects in terms of winning the medals in the future. But looking at the next Olympic, I'm sure you're not talking about Los Angeles or Paris Olympic. You are talking about
I'm talking about Olympics. Tokyo. Yeah.
So next year, we have very identified field already there, which everybody knows, like boxing, wrestling, badminton. These are some hockey, but men's and women's shooting is another very good prospect. So there are some good chances we have, but let us be very, very pragmatic in our expectation. I have just going to complete 1 year as a sports minister of the country. And I'm managing with the existing talent which we have so far. I have tried to change many things, whatever is possible, and create positivity into the whole sporting sector in the last 1 year. And there are lots of positive changes already being seen. But it's difficult to create champion in 1 year time. So in another 1 year which we have, I hope we can create few more champions. But it will take longer time. So medal-wise, I cannot predict a medal, but I can say that India is in a position to perform best ever Olympics in the history.
Will you be traveling with the team?
Obviously, as a sports minister, I have to be there during the either closing ceremony or opening ceremony or during the game time. I'll have to be there to encourage our athletes and to see the management part also.
Kiran, you have been very pro sports. You have announced so many awards for pensioners also, everything is there. Anything new in your pocket you are going to come out with? Because all the sports people are expecting much more from you. You announce awards, you announce pensions.
Right now, my focus and priority is how to make sports as career. Because sports person must ensure that they get not only respect and dignity, but they get good earning. If there is no good money in any field, it doesn't attract people. So not only cricket is not an Olympic sport, but cricket has good money because most of our people watch cricket. But if we talk in terms of the real Olympic sports, where it determines the level of a country's sporting progress, then Olympic sports, we have to ensure that we give lots of impetus to that. But for that, you need to create a situation where you have enough resources. So my priority is to ensure that enough resources are created. So we will be requiring lots of private participation. But from my own government side also, we will also try to look forward to generate more funds.
Kiran, you have rightly pointed out, the question is your sports, most of the sports, IOC sports, I don't see any private party investing in that. Everybody wants to invest in cricket and therefore the lobby is working. Let cricket also become Olympic sports. Everybody in the private sector doesn't invest in conventional Indian games like kabaddi, like archery, like even badminton now they're investing. And they don't invest in football. If they at all invest in football, they call the foreign players, give them millions of dollars, but invest in the school level at football tournaments or the college level. Poor people, they don't invest. They want to invest in somebody from Brazil or somebody from Spain or somebody else. That's the culture. They want to make money out of sports. That is the tendency which is happening.
No, that is one thing I'm sure the federation people as well as those who run the league, they will take a view on that. But I certainly have certain opinion about that. I want the domestic players, our local players, to get opportunity in any of the national league. Initially, to make any league popular, you will have to have international players. But like Kabaddi League has been successful, but we don't need Kabaddi players from outside except one or two from South Korea and Iran or maybe Bangladesh.
Football.
Other countries do not have the international that standard. So our domestic Kabaddi League has been very successful. I was there in Ahmedabad during the final. So it's very popular. And football is an issue where I am getting lots of representation also, where Indian origin players or PIO, person of Indian origin, now it is called OCI, overseas Indian citizen, they may be allowed and all. And then there are calls for restriction of the foreign origin players in the Indian club. So there are various issues. We need to talk with the league people, the club owners, and then come out with some positive things. See,
I'll just, you are thinking, but I'll take it to the logical end. There is a feeling that Indian sports is becoming another business for certain corporate houses. If you look at the cricket team and the football team, which investment has been made by corporate houses, and they're trying to earn money rather than promoting the sports. Now the IPL team is successful because it has a valuation of 200 crore, 500 crore. Is that the way of promoting sports?
See, earning money through sports, there's nothing wrong in it, but not at the expenses of the interest of the sports. And secondly, nobody should monopolize the commercial factor of any any particular sports. See, you have to ensure that the equity, the fair chance for everybody. We have to ensure that everybody gets a fair chance. If somebody takes over the entire sports or it monopolizes the entire league, then it's not good for the future of that particular sport. So I think if there are issues, they will certainly come to me. I'm meeting all type of people, every section. I'm very open to everyone. I will be required to have the views of all section of the people, even the corporate people. If they want to come, invest, join, it's most welcome. We should not discourage anybody from earning lots of money from sports. But only thing is, it should be done in a fair manner.
Yes, there is a tendency now to create a league outside the formal organization. Like IPL came out of BCCI, then you had the Football League, which came out of the Football Association. Now what is happening, the commercial part is taking priority. People are promoting private leagues outside the sports organization. Therefore, the rich people are getting the benefit, foreigners are getting the benefit. What do you think where everything in the league, which means making money by the sport, by the corporate houses?
That is why if I make a certain announcement on my my side, it will not be wise, because as a government,
but you're concerned about it, no?
Before I make any kind of announcement, I will require to consult with all the stakeholders. But I fully agree with you that any league, besides commercial interest, see, commercial interest has to be there, but it cannot have a primacy over
Correct.
the interest of the local players or the local interest. So the opportunity for the local Indian players, it has to be there. We have to make provisions. We cannot just let anybody come and take over just because there is commercial interest. We cannot do that. We cannot do like China. You buy, all the team members are from the outside. You pay so much of money and get the players. You pay money if you want to, but the interest of the local players must be protected at all points of time.
Kiran, that is because of that people are saying, because people want to create commercial sports. Therefore, they are opposing your code, and you will dilute under pressure. That is the fear in certain quarters. I hope that is not correct.
No, I will not come under any pressure. I was very determined to.
You will not change the code, no? You will not change the code.
See,
whatever comes.
First of all, the existing code is already there, but I also feel that there is requirement for the changes to be made. But we will not come under the pressure of any particular interest group or any faction. We'll have to see, as a government, we have to see the universality of a particular issue. We have to take into account everybody's view.
Mr. Rijiju, can I just switch tracks for a minute and ask about how the Northeast in particular, where you come from, of course from Arunachal Pradesh, but Northeast in particular has fought coronavirus. It seems to have fought it much better than the rest of India. How has that happened? What was there that made it possible?
See, primarily the Northeast people are very much law-abiding, and they are very disciplined people. So any kind of direction which comes from the government is implemented properly on the ground. Secondly, the community level organizations are very strong. So if a particular community gives some sanctity to any of the social behavioral pattern, then people maintain it. That is one thing. Secondly, there are lots of good initiative taken by the state governments. All the state governments in the northeastern, 8 northeastern states, they have done quite well. But now the problem is, since the people have started coming from outside.
Exactly, the migrants are going back.
Migrants are going back, students are going back. After staying for more than 2 months, everybody is heading back home. So Arunachal, which was COVID-free, but I think 2 more cases were found, but they are asymptomatic. They are not active, but still 2 cases have been found. Both they have come from Delhi. The earlier case was from the Tablighi case. He came from this Nizamuddin.
Right.
So likewise from outside, they have started coming and they are found positive. In Assam also such thing has happened. Meghalaya also like that. Otherwise, Northeast on itself was very safe. But now since the people's movement has started, once the people's movement is started, then you have to ensure that the spread at the community level, or especially in the rural area, is prevented. Because once it goes to the rural areas, villages, then it becomes very dangerous. But so far, northeastern region has been very successful in terms of preventing the spread in large scale of this COVID.
But is there a plan to, fight this battle once it does spread? Because it will.
Certainly, there are renewed programs and policies are there. We have to run the economy on the one side.
Yes.
We cannot lock down everything forever.
Right.
On the other side, we have to prevent the danger of the spread of COVID-19. So we have to strike a balance between the safety, health, and the growth of economic activities, welfare of the people. So there is a sense amongst the people also that since the lockdown, which was initiated by the Prime Minister Modi ji, has been fairly successful, especially in comparison to the other more developed countries. India is being referred to as a country which has been successful in community level participation in the lockdown. So looking at that, so far we have fought against the COVID-19 very well. Now the real challenges is to maintain this particular level of our fight, and also to activate our normal daily way of life and to start the economic activity. I think we will manage it.
Mr. Rijiju, is there any one or two, a couple of examples of how the northeastern states fought the virus, which you feel could be emulated or copied at a national level?
Now, the best method is the discipline amongst the community. That is something which the rest of the country has to learn from northeastern region. In northeast, if there is a government instruction, these are carried forward down to the ground by the community leaders at the community level in collaboration with the district administration. So the local administration and the community at large are working in tandem, in a complete synergy, coordination. And whatever is advised by the government through experts like medical experts and other people who are knowledgeable in the particular field, whatever advice is there, these are implemented. Whereas in the other parts of the country, in our country, many places people have defied the lockdown, many people have violated the guidelines, which have created lots of problems for other people. So this kind of, indisciplined activities has to be stopped. And that is, if you are law-abiding citizen, if you are disciplined, then it is always better that you will always make yourself safer. So this is something which I feel that rest of the country can learn from the community people in Northeast.
The other thing I think we can learn from you in particular, Mr. Rijiju, is the fitness levels. I mean, I think you're possibly the fittest person in the cabinet and one of the fittest ministers for sure. So, you've been spearheading the Fit for India movement as well in India. Do you feel that it has it has been successful, that because half of the battle against COVID is, of course, prevention, building your immunity. So do you feel that we've come to a point where this movement has been somewhat successful?
Absolutely. Fitness is a universal need. And if you're physically fit, you will be more likely that your output will increase, your mental fitness will be better, your overall presence will be more positive. So when we launched this Fit India movement, Prime Minister was very, very particular that it has to be a universal campaign. It has to be people's driven, people's movement. So when my ministry launched Fit India movement last year, I have checked the data. Of course, I cannot claim it to be 100% correct, but the data from various sources found that almost 70% of our people in India are physically not fit.
Oh no.
More than 80% people do not do any kind of formal exercise, yoga or exercise, because ours is a large country. Even if 20% people are fit, that 20% is large. But what about the 80%?
Right.
So that is why we need to have this large amount of campaign at different level, so that the awareness of fitness grows up. That is why I cannot talk about it in detail right now, but we have achieved tremendously, especially amongst the youth. More than 155,000 schools have already registered under the Fit India campaign. And there are criteria how we call a school fit. There are criteria. So this is how we are moving. So as a sports minister, if I'm physically unfit, how can I tell people to be fit? I have to set an example.
You should put your more videos on the Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah.
So that
Mr. Chawla, I have to just ask him one question. What is the secret
Yeah.
of his fitness? How much do you exercise and what do you do every day?
No, I don't do any kind of conventional exercise much. Whenever I get time, I try to just run around a little bit and do a little bit of weights. But what is important, I want to tell is, people say that to become fit, they have to go to gym or ground. Not necessary. You can do exercise in your room also. You can do cycling, running, yoga. There are many means to become fit, including your disciplined lifestyle, what to eat also. So diet and everything has to be controlled. Your lifestyle has to be disciplined. Your way of living your life has to be regulated. So I think fitness is something which everybody must feel that it is an investment for yourself, not for any other.
Kiran, I will ask you, because you had the Fit India campaign, then you had also a Khelo India.
Yeah.
I remember correctly, there was the Khelo India. And I see that you have been emphasizing opening up the stadiums and whatever you have been emphasizing. When are you going to open the stadium? Because I see what they call the elitist game. Elite people have been allowed to do SAI facilities, use them and start practicing. But the normal, what you call the development groups and other junior athletes, they are not giving facilities to be trained and do some practicing. When are you going to do that?
No, there is a difference. There is slight miscommunication. In the SAI's training center, we have National Center of Excellence, like National Institute of Sports in Patiala or NCOE at IG Stadium or Sonepat or Bangalore SAI Center. So we have some elite athletes who are kept in the camp, in the training camp. They were preparing for Olympics and other world championship and all. For them, we have said that we will allow you within our camp, not the junior athletes, because there are limited space. You can't allow senior, junior together. But for others, it has been already been open. Sports complexes are already open. Stadia already open. They can go practice in the designated sports complex. So there is no restriction now. The only thing is SOP has been issued by my ministry that while playing, you have to maintain certain things. And that SOP is a very detailed one. It's prepared by a set of expert people, including doctors. So for swimming, for athletics, for hockey, for football, for boxing, everything is different. Like
but SAI facilities, Kiran, have not been open for junior, as you said, what they call the development for future players. You are talking about seniors. SAI facilities are limited.
Juniors,
but
we are waiting for some more time. I have just told my officer that maybe very soon we will allow the juniors to come, because we have sent juniors home. I wanted them to be safe and be with the family for this long lockdown period. But seniors were already in the camp. So those who were in the camp are seniors, and their training and practice has to be started. But the juniors, since the traveling has been relaxed, the government has already given permission for the traveling from one place to another place. So very soon we will take a call to bring back the junior athletes. We have even given them flight service and first class railway service to go back. We paid for them. So
But
we'll
there
take,
is,
we'll
Kiran,
take
there
them.
is another fear, no? Because they are saying the IPL lobby is so strong, they are pressurizing you to open the stadium for practicing and whatnot, and other sports organization can wait. Is that correct? You are going to
No,
open IP stadiums for cricket stadiums and allow them to practice?
no, okay. All stadia are open now. Only thing is spectators are not permitted to attend. So we have to
But
learn.
will you be supporting IPL hosting during the month of October?
No, I don't know about the date, but we have not permitted any event with spectators. That's the only thing. Otherwise, we have already given the permission.
Even October, you think there is a possibility that they will have to do IPL without a spectators?
I can't say what will happen after 5 months, but looking at the situation, we are hopeful. Our Prime Minister has been very successful in conveying messages to the people and urging them to take certain steps to fight the COVID-19. So by October, it should be okay, but as of now, it will be premature to tell that things will become okay by October. I cannot say anything from my side. So as long as the challenges remain, we cannot allow spectators in the stadium.
Kiran, you have been advocating, you have been very ambitious and rightly so. International events should be held in India. Don't you think as optimistic now, post-COVID now, that you will be able to host as many events as you thought earlier?
See, at least for this year, any international event, sporting event in India seems to be remote. Not very bright prospect this year.
Mr.
Because
Ridiju,
just a minute.
Yeah.
IO has been saying that we should host, I've got a question here, Youth Olympics in 2026, Olympics in 2032, Asian Games in 2028. Is your ministry hopeful that you would be able to support this IOA demand? Or
No,
desire?
I am always in favor of looking forward to host Olympics. That's the ultimate dream. It's not only me, every Indian has a dream to host Olympics someday in India. But when and how, we have to think about, because to get Olympic awarded to India needs discussion at the highest level. And this is, you will require billions and billions of dollars.
Youth Olympics, even for Youth Olympics.
Youth Olympic is 2026. For that,
They want it to be hosted in India.
I have already given my consent to them, to the IOA, and we will see. The proposal is Mumbai, Thane and Mumbai, and the formal bid, the application has been submitted for permission to give the formal bid, but decision has been not taken. Maybe next year, the International Olympic Council session is going to be held in India. So maybe during that time, the final call will be taken to see that India seriously go forward to submit a bid to host 26 Olympics. Because if you host the Youth Olympics, it gives you a better chance to go for the main Olympics. I'm in favor of it, but there is no final shape yet.
just a couple of questions from our viewers, Mr. Rijiju. Is there any chance, again, obviously IPL or ISL or Pro Kabaddi League this year? This is from Sharan.
No, we can have sporting events in India minus spectators. That is very simple.
Right. Sheila Shetty asks, other than Mary Kom, we don't hear about many sports persons from the Northeast. Where you're from? Why is that?
No, this we have in recent times. We have good sports persons from from northeastern region also, like in boxing. We have Lavlina, Jamuna Boro. In wrestling, there has been always been from northeast representing India in the Olympics, from Nagaland, from Manipur, from Assam, Jayanta Talukdar. It's very iconic archers like Leisram. And then, of course, hockey, legendary hockey players were there from Northeast, Toiba Singh, Tiken Singh, and football, the captain of the Indian football team.
Yes.
World Cup was from Nagaland only, Thiamarin Ao. Likewise, we have lots of new players coming up, and hopefully, like present the Indian champion, who is an Olympic prospect weightlifter, Mirabai Chanu, she's from Northeast. There are many players from Northeast who are Olympic prospects, medal-winning prospects. We have produced, and hopefully in future, because I want sports to spread pan-India. So whether it's from Ladakh, Kashmir, or from Tamil Nadu, Northeast, Western India, Central India, everywhere. It's a large country. India is a large country. That is why I said India is a large country. How can we be satisfied with 1 or 2 medals in Olympics?
Exactly. Minister, you're also Minister for Youth Affairs. And I felt that during this COVID crisis, there was a lot more that the youth of the country could have done in terms of, for instance, alleviating the woes of the migrants when they were moving back. Why was there no concerted attempt to revive and reinvent things like NCC, for instance?
No, we have, maybe it was not coming out in a desired manner in the press media. I can tell you, I have 75 lakhs youth volunteers under my ministry.
Right.
I'm not
Under
counting.
various schemes.
I'm
Jawahar Nehru Yuva Kendra also.
Under the Nehru Yuva.
They are supported by us. We have our employees, our youth volunteers, our coordinators. Then we have NSS, National Service Scheme, in colleges and universities, schools. Then I'm not even counting the Bharat Scouts and Guides. So if I count Scouts and Guides, then our number runs above 1 crore. Can you believe it? The 75 lakhs volunteers which we have, they have reached out to villages, colonies, different places. They are every day distributing masks. They are giving so much of help to the community. Even many state government chief ministers, the local deputy commissioners, they have written acknowledgement that while carrying forward their activities in helping the citizens during this COVID-19, our volunteers have been exceedingly very helpful in carrying forward. See, this is the question of safety of the people who are doing the job also. A policeman is also a human being. Right. So everything is under lockdown. It's very difficult. So our volunteers were so much in use this time. I'm very proud of my volunteers. I have done lots of video conferences with them. I have talked to them. I keep updated with the performance through my state directors, through my district youth coordinators. So it's amazing to see that the concept of volunteerism is so much lively in India, and our volunteers are working day and night. And it's immeasurable in terms of quantifying how much our volunteers have done job this time.
Minister, you're also Minister for Minority Affairs, and we just saw some really striking and very powerful protests against CAA, NRC. What do you think is going to happen once the lockdown is lifted? Do you see that sense? Do you see an apprehension? Will that return? Will those protests return? Will that anger come back onto the streets?
No, these are completely, being orchestrated by a section of people who don't want to see India a unified, powerful country. Totally, misguided by some elements which are not in the interest of our country. But I can say that the historical steps taken by Modi ji, and which were not even conceived during Congress time, that India can take such drastic and very critical steps in the national interest. Citizens as a whole in India, majority of the people understand this. It's only a section of people who create trouble. So when their movement is not supported by majority of the people, how can it succeed? They will not succeed. This kind of protest, because India is a democratic country, the protest can go on. You can't stop protest. You can't put these protesters inside the jail. So they are protesting. That doesn't mean that that is the mood of the nation. So whatever has been done in the national interest will be done. How can somebody stop it just because somebody doesn't like it?
But a lot of them, Mr. Minister, were young people.
That is why misguided. Young people also can be misguided.
But they were not necessarily by political parties. They were just guided by their conscience.
Yeah, so India is a free country. You are free to have your opinion. Nobody can put you into some kind of confinement just because you have a different kind of opinion. You have a right to protest.
Let me ask the last question, Kaveri.
Yes.
Because he's a minister, very active minister, and he's also very active in social media.
Yeah.
And sometimes some of his colleagues also called him Minister of Sports and Twitter.
Really?
Yes, I heard one of the young colleagues saying he's the most active person, not only physically, he's active in social media, so he's a Twitter minister also, who manages it very well. But because of that, he gets into sometimes embarrassing situations also, like it happened in case of Kambala runner in trial in Karnataka. You remember that? don't you think scouting is a specialized subject?
Yeah, we have to be open to everything, no? Criticism as well as appreciation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rijiju, for being so frank and open. And please do keep sharing videos of your fitness regime. We will at least look at them, if not try to follow them. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chawla. Thank you.
Thank you.